Hi all, and thanks for watching. In this video, I'm just going to go over Fallout 4 with Reshade and SweetFX. Now I'm running it in a split screen in order to show you the effects in-game, with the left side being the vanilla and the right side being the Reshade with SweetFX. Now if this is your first time installing it, then once you get into game you actually want to set up the Reshade panel here, and you just push the Shift F2 to pull that up. Click the continue, and you'll want to give it a name, so just call it F04, and press enter. And then you'll notice that the Reshade and the SweetFX are both enabled, and you can change the toggle key if you'd like. Otherwise, just click continue and finish, and then press the Shift F2 to close the panel. So I'm actually going to just get into game here now, and I'll show you the difference when using the Reshade and SweetFX. Now what this does is it adds SMAA, FXAA, LUMASHARPEN, curves, vibrance, HDR, and LIFTGAMMAGAIN, all to bring up the base colors in the game, improve the lighting and shadows, and kind of take away that grayish flat look that the game normally has. And I'll just get into game here and I'll show you what I mean here. So as you can see, the left side is the vanilla side, and I am running it in 4K, so it does look quite nice. But it does also kind of look flat. Whereas if you look at the right side, you'll notice that the colors and everything, the fine detail seems to be coming out a lot more clearly, and you're able to actually make out a lot of definition. Like on this tire here in front of us, if you notice, you can actually make out all the definition and divots. As well on the rim, the lighting and the reflection looks more natural, whereas if I just move over to the right here, the vanilla, you kind of lose all that texturing. It becomes very flat looking, and the reflections and such, the lighting doesn't look quite as natural. Even with the ground here, if you notice, you can see all the divots in the dirt, and the coloration of the dirt is actually coming through more clearly. Whereas if I move here a bit to the right, the vanilla makes it look very flat and grayish looking, taking away from those base colors and actually making them look washed out. Now this isn't really meant to change the overall feel of the game, but rather enhance the game so everything looks more natural and you get a much better look to the game. And I'll just go up, and if you look up to the sky, you'll notice that the sky is now actually a sky blue and the clouds are coming through clearly, whereas on the vanilla side they're kind of washed out and it doesn't quite look as nice. You can't see the finer cloud wisps and such, which you can make out now on the modded side. As well, things like this trailer here on the roof there. If you notice, it is kind of flat looking. You can make out rust and different blemishes on the metal, but once I move over and bring the modded side in, now you can actually make out all the detail. The rust and the divots look more natural, and the reflection, the lighting off of it is coming through more clearly, so you're able to make out a lot more of that base detail, and the base colors are really showing through. Now this will apply to any mod that you add to the game, helping to also enhance that. So anything that you add, you can expect to get the enhancement and the look to it that you're seeing here. Now, even if you're a vanilla player and you're just looking for something that will kind of make the game look nicer, This is perfect for a vanilla player. It doesn't change any of the game. It just really brings out the game's appearance and definition so that you get a much better looking game. And it's something that you kind of expect with a newer game. You would expect it to have really fine detail, but as you've seen with the vanilla, it does look kind of washed out and flat and bland looking. So usually you do have to add different things like texture mods and stuff, but that doesn't really, it does make the objects and such look better, but it doesn't make the that gray overtone go away, whereas this takes the overtone away. So even if you add texture mods or anything like that, this will improve upon them too. And if you notice here on this shelving unit, you can make out all the wood grain on the modded side. You can make it out with more natural colors coming through. The little designs are coming through, and you get more definition to them, so you can actually make out the various levels of the definition, giving it a better look. And I'll just turn a bit, and as you can see now, it looks quite flat looking. We've kind of lost a lot of that definition, and it really looks washed out. Now this will affect everything from the Pip-Boy to your loading screens, your start screens, anything like that. And if you notice, it doesn't really change the light levels, but rather it gives you a more true shadow, truer blacks. The colors themselves haven't changed. You're just seeing the base colors for what they are, and they look a lot more natural. Because the game itself doesn't have a brightness adjustment, I had to make this as close to the actual light level as possible so that it wouldn't actually take away from the lighting in the game and make the game look darker or anything like that. So you won't really notice a difference in the light levels, and you can run it at any resolution or settings that you'd like, that you would normally use. Now I'm just going to go out here outside of the city here, and we'll have a look at some of the buildings and such, as well as some of the rubble, different things like that, just so I can kind of show you the definition and what to expect when you're playing the game. Now here you're seeing the loading screen, and if you notice, you're getting a really nice look to the actual picture that you're seeing. You're seeing all the divots in the metal, the reflections off the metal, and the actual coloration is the proper coloration that it should be. So overall, the game should improve in every aspect of what you see in the game. And I'll just head out here, and if you look at the ground, now the light source there, the fire, is actually generating a proper colored light source, whereas if I move over to the vanilla here, you do see that light source coloration slightly, but it's really washed out and faded, so you don't really notice it quite as much. As well with the rubble pile here, I'll just put the vanilla over top of it, and it becomes very flat looking. You do see the reflections and the different shading and lighting off of it, and it doesn't look bad in the 4K, but once I move over here and bring the mod around, you can really make out that definition, and you really see the shadows and the light sources around it coming out much more clearly. Now I'll just go out here for a moment, and I'll just look down at the brickwork, and if you notice the brickwork, same thing, you're getting a lot of definition coming through on the brickwork. You're actually seeing it more for a more natural look than what you're seeing on the left, which does still look nice, but it's flat looking, and you've lost a lot of that definition in the actual picture of the game. So I'm just going to look at a few buildings here, and as you can see, the color hasn't changed, but you're getting the base colors coming through, and you can really make out the definition on the wall itself and the brickwork. The metal and the rust colors are coming through in their proper colors, so it looks more natural. And it also helps with characters and such. When you're looking at the characters, they'll really have a much better look and appearance to them. The items in the game, such as this here, as you can see, you're seeing the colors and the actual reflections, the metal looking more like actual metal and an actual reflection off metal. And I'll just take a walk out of the city here, and we'll just have a look at the horizon in this car here to start with. As you can see now, it looks like it has proper rust on it, and you're seeing the divots and such in the paint, which on the left side, the vanilla side, you really don't see any of that. You see the coloration differences, but you don't really see the divots or the definition in the actual paint. And I'll just kind of move over here, and as you can see, it really brings it out and helps it to look a lot more natural too. The roadway, same thing. You can see the actual pavement, and you can see the divots in the pavement, whereas on the vanilla side, the road looks somewhat flat. You do see the larger divots, but you don't see the finer divots or the finer detail. And I'll just head out here and look at the horizon so I can show you that it also improves objects in the distance so that you can actually see a lot more in the game, and you really get a nice look to the game. If you notice, the left side, you can see everything in the distance, but it's kind of faded out, and you can't really make out a lot of the definition. Everything kind of merges together under that kind of grayish layer, which makes everything look very flat. Whereas on the right side, you can really make out the definition in the trees on the horizon, and you don't lose any of that definition. And even though you're looking off into the distance, it actually helps bring all that up so that you can make everything out quite clearly. And I'll just slightly turn here, and as you can see, as I'm moving in, the left side is moving over the vanilla game, everything kind of fades out behind that kind of grayish look, and you're not getting the true base colors, which you really want to see, and it really helps with the overall game and the effect of the game. But if you notice, there's no special lighting effects or anything like that. It's all just a matter of bringing out the actual base game so that you can really enjoy the game for what it is. Now, if there are any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you again.